Why, hello there YouTube and welcome to a Who review. I am Davros and I am a Whovian, and today I am reviewing Doctor Who, The Power of the Doctor. So yeah, I did review this on the night it aired, but of course it's out on DVD for a while now and it's been out a good while, so I thought, maybe now I can review this, and I'm assuming now that the spoilers are all lifted, so I'm just going to go and review it now, and I'm sure everyone's had the chance to see it. So, The Power of the Doctor. So in this one, the Doctor, Yaz and Dan deal with a crisis with the Cybermen, only to find that they're Cybermasters on a space train, where there is this cargo which looks like a child, but is actually an energy source called the Ure or something that can power a whole planet, and the Doctor wants to know why the Cybermen are onto this. And then of course the Doctor discovers, whilst there's a crisis going on in 2022, there's also another crisis going on in Russia in 1916 with Rasputin. And of course, the Dalek wants to give the Doctor some information. And of course at Unit HQ, the Doctor is reunited with Ace and Tegan, who are old faces that she hasn't seen for a good long while. And of course, the Master is simply doing this because he wants to be the Doctor, in exchange giving the Daleks and the Cybermen all they want, the Earth, so they can exterminate and convert and all that. Basically, they put their differences aside because they all have one thing in common: the Doctor is their enemy. And of course the Master, he does actually succeed this time in taking the Doctor's body over and becoming the Doctor, but of course with a little help from Yaz, artificial interfaces and what have you, and the help from the fugitive Doctor, they undo the whole thing and the Doctor manages to survive. And then the Master, badly damaged from the whole ordeal, finds that if he can't be the Doctor, then neither can she, and attempts to kill her, only for Yaz to save her. And then next thing, she has one last trip with Yaz because her regeneration is near. And of course at the end she gives into her regeneration and becomes the 14th Doctor, which looks very identical to the 10th Doctor. So that is the essential story there. So what did I like about this one? Well, I liked this special. Probably the best one from Chris Chibnall. I think he does good writing the specials, but as a series, as a showrunner, probably not so much. But like I said, Chris Chibnall has wrote a good few fair share of episodes, I've said already. His era's probably not been the best one, but like I said, science fiction's probably not his, speciality. So, first of all, I love that we got Jodie Whittaker in this. I think this is the best she's performed as the Doctor. I really do. And I really enjoyed her performance. Of course, this was her final outing, so she was, all out there and all giving it her all in her final performance. This was stretched to an hour and a half special because they wanted, I guess, to make the most of it. I also thought Mandip Gill was good in this, with her relationship with the Doctor, Yaz, and she did good as well, playing her part. And even though she never fully admitted her feelings to the Doctor, I feel that she knew as well. They both knew their mutual feelings for one another. I also thought John Bishop was okay in this with the time he spent. I mean, he was only in 2 acts. He was in the opening act and then the final act, because he actually had a date and, well, he actually bidded farewell to the Doctor and Yaz within the first 10 minutes. So he did play a big part in it, but I like that we just didn't forget him throughout the whole episode just after that bit. I also like the return of Janet Fielding as Tegan and Sophie Aldred as Ace. They were both fantastic in this. We've seen the return of classic companions before, like Sarah Jane Smith and Joe Grant, or Joe Jones, in the spin-off, the Sarah Jane Adventures, and we've seen the return of the Brigadier in that show. But we got to see other classic companions, and we got to see Ace and Tegan play a part in it, and they were great. Especially those scenes where they had an encounter with the Doctor's AI, and it rooted to their memories of how they saw the Doctor last, and how they got to have a connection with their Doctors, and how we got to see Janet Fielding and Peter Davison share a scene together, and then Sophie Aldred and Sylvester McCoy share a scene together. That scene, those scenes for me are just like, I like that. I like those scenes, and I watch them with a great smile on my face, knowing that even though the Doctor has changed and moved on, he never forgot them. Even when he, and also I like that we finally got some closure on Ace, what happened to her, because the show was cancelled in '89, but now we know that Ace left the Doctor because they simply fell out, but they got to make amends. I also loved that we got to see the classic Doctors in this. We got to see David Bradley return as the first Doctor, even though it's William Hartnell, we all know that, but he's a good stand-in for Hartnell, so I like that we got to see him. And we got to see Colin Baker, we got to see Peter Davison, we got to see Sylvester McCoy, we got to see Paul McGann. We got to see all those actors reprise their role as the Doctor, or at least a manifestation of the Doctor, because they played the Guardians of the Edge, which were a manifestation of the Doctor. So I love that scene when Jodie Whittaker's Doctor sees, and it also made me think, so the Doctors never truly die, they're always still there, deep in the Doctor's subconscious, the Guardians of the Edge. And I like that part. I like that we got to see all that, and they were all brilliant. I don't care if they've aged or they've got old, they were all brilliant in what they did in their moments in that episode. Of course, I also liked Jemma Redgrave as Kate. She was also good in this as well. But of course, we can't forget the real main villain of this special, Sacha Dhawan as the Master. He was just, as always, wacky and insane, and I always thought in the previews he looked like Rasputin, and turns out he was Rasputin. He was meddling in time as he usually does, and who can forget that whole sequence where he's dancing to Boney M's Rasputin. Bonkers. Bonkers as always. But the whole thing of how he wanted to become the Doctor, I found that bit very Looney Tunes, very wacky and insane. But, I also like the callbacks to all the other Doctors that he referenced, including the 7th, 4th, 5th, even the 2nd Doctor with the recorder. Even Jo Martin, her brief time in it, as well as the Fugitive Doctor. We also got Vinda back as well for this one, in a minor supporting role, and then we got to see him off. We also got the return of Bradley Walsh as Graham, who was investigating the whole Daleks around the volcano and that, and how he bumped into Ace, and how Ace referred to it as a first date. Do you know what? I actually like that. I think Graham and Ace should actually go for it, get together, because I think they look great together. I think so anyway. But of course, I also loved that whole scene where Yaz attends the support group with Graham and Dan, and we see cameos from other past companions, not just Tegan and Ace, but we get to see Jo, Katie Manning return as Jo. We get to see, Bonnie Langford return as, Mel. But not to forget, we get to see for the first time in over 5 decades, nearly 6 decades, in 57 years, we see the return of William Russell as a now elderly Ian. Now, that I was like, wow. The guy's nearly 98 years old and he's playing Ian again. And that actually broke a Guinness Book of Records, given the longest gap between an actor in playing a role. I believe before that it was like someone in Coronation Street returning after a long gap, but William Russell exceeded that record by having the longest gap between not playing his character of Ian Chesterton. And seeing him in there, I was like, wow, still all there. The oldest cast member of the original cast still alive. And him and Carol Ann Ford are probably the only 2 original cast members that are surviving to this day. And we're about to celebrate 60 years of the show. William Russell, I have great respect for that man, because he's just, wow. lasted and done great. Of course, I can't forget Jodie Whittaker's regeneration. For the first time in the revived era, we saw the regeneration take place outside the TARDIS. I mean, the regeneration has happened outside the TARDIS before in the past. You know, like John Pertwee, his Doctor regenerated outside the TARDIS. Tom Baker, you know, Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann. So this wasn't anything new, but it was the first time in the revived era where we see the Doctor standing on a cliff top where she regenerates. In fact, the reason why they did that is because they actually started to dismantle her TARDIS set when they were filming her regeneration scene. But of course, I love those final seconds where we see Jodie Whittaker regenerate into the 14th Doctor, the 13th Doctor to the 14th Doctor. One thing that has probably baffled a lot of us is how come the clothes changed. It's never happened before that, but people have debated about that and theorised and wondered why, but maybe, I don't know. But the fact is, we see the 14th Doctor, and he has very identical features to the 10th Doctor. Still played by David Tennant, but he's now the 14th Doctor, and the 14th Doctor has got, well, the same appearance as the 10th Doctor, just slightly older. And of course, there are theories on that and how that's happened. I think it's because the Master buggered up the regeneration, you know, with the forced regeneration thing he did to become the Doctor. And of course, maybe like the curator said, in time you might find yourself revisiting an old few, perhaps the old favourites. But reasons because of this is because Shuttigat I don't think is available. Were available for the 60th anniversary specials, but still, we have the show returning for a free, you know, specials in 2023 for its 60th anniversary, and it all looks good. And yeah, I think Gatwa can wait a bit because we're all happy to see David Tennant back in the role. I feel that this is like Russell T Davies picking up from where he left off with David Tennant. Before, you know, we have a good blast from the past before we go into the future with Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor, because that's what Doctor he's playing. But anyway, is there anything I didn't like about the power of the Doctor? I honestly can't really think of anything. I still get enjoyment out of this one, because I've not watched it as much, but I watched it a couple times now. So ratings, what am I going to rate this one? You know what, performances, I rarely do this, I'll give them a 10, the writing gets a 9, the visuals, they get an 8, and my personal, yeah, what the hell with it, I'll give it a 10. So there you go, my ratings for The Power of the Doctor. So have you seen this one? Let me know all that down in the comments below, and if you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and to share with your friends. I've been Davros the Whovian, and this has been a Who review on Doctor Who, The Power of the Doctor. So there you go, properly reviewed all these specials. So yeah, I've already said that. Anyway, yeah, until next time, run for your life.